Gen Z really likes to eat with their eyes. So really leaning into things that look fun and creative.
Stuff that's Instagrammable.
Instagrammable, TikTokable.
Hey everyone, welcome to Where Brands Get Their Edge. If you are a marketer, we've got the tools. If you're a founder, we've got the truth. Today we are joined by Amir with South Block, our favorite local acai smoothie shop. They have 21 locations now and just raised a bunch of money and are opening their first out-of-market property. Amir, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Yeah. Just
So
running blocks, it's fun.
I do know.
Making smoothies. What's not to love, right?
I'm not gonna lie, it sounds pretty great.
There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes though, as you
Did
know.
you always have a passion for smoothies? Did you just fall?
Yeah, I think I grew up in an entrepreneur family. Well, my dad was a business professor, an immigrant from Iran, and was a professor who turned entrepreneur. And so I grew up kind of seeing him change from being a professor to an entrepreneur. He owned video stores actually in the 80s and 90s. A couple of video stores, one in McLean, and his first one was in DC and Falls Church. So I grew up watching him transition into entrepreneurship and working in his video stores. And so the thing I thought I learned in watching that was I did not want to have my own business because I saw how much his lifestyle changed, how much he was like having to work now from when he was a professor and had like summers off, and then he had his business and he was working all the time. But so I went to school, Virginia Tech. I got my degree in marketing and graphic design. I got a job at one of the big consulting firms in the marketing department. And I sat in a cube every day and got really bored. And I realized my dad wasn't so crazy after all, because he was passionate about what he was doing. And he was excited every day about getting up and working on his business. And so I realized pretty quickly after I got my corporate job that I wanted the same thing. And so I started thinking about what businesses I was drawn to. And I've always loved fruits and vegetables growing up. And I spent a lot of time in Southern California with friends and family, and would go to these juice bars there. And there was nothing like that in the DC area. So I thought that'd be a good business to bring here. And I also wanted to do something that I felt like was fun, that I loved. And so I opened my first juice bar in DC on 20th and I Street, right by GW University in 2004. So I've been doing this for 21 years now, and started the South Block brand in 2011.
Oh, so you started with a different brand?
Yeah, I want to know more about that.
So I was campus fresh. The idea at the time was like I was going to do campus focused locations, university. So we were campus fresh. And then I spent some time trying to get into other campuses. And I realized that I was pretty fortunate with the location that I had at GW, and it was hard to get other university locations. So I kind of learned, I always tell people I got my master's in business at GW and learned the business there. You were there?
I was there. I graduated 2005. So I was there when you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I actually moved onto campus in 2006 in the Learner Health and Wellness Center.
Yep.
At the gym on campus. Yeah. So I wasn't there before. When you were there, I think it was Einstein Bagel.
Yeah.
And,
okay.
Yeah. So I took the Einstein Bagel spot, which worked out much better for the gym than to have a smoothie shop in there than a bagel shop, and kind of learned the business there, and opened South Block in 2011 in Clarendon and Arlington, and took some of the lessons I learned from that GW location. One being like just fine tuning my recipes. I learned how to make acai bowls, the craft of making acai bowls, which I didn't even know what an acai bowl was until 2005, a year after I opened. I describe him as this surfer dude came in and made me my first acai bowl. He was importing acai from Brazil. No one on the East Coast was selling acai, and I just loved it. So I started importing it, put it on my menu. I sold like maybe 5 a day because nobody knew what it was, but I loved it. And I still make the bowls the same exact way that I learned how to make them 20 years ago, which is blending each bowl to order, which a lot of places now they use acai sorbet. So they're just scooping the sorbet and putting it in a bowl and putting toppings on it. So that's one thing that makes us different and unique, is that I've come up with all these crafted recipes that you won't get anywhere else. And, it makes the recipes unique and healthier and fresher than like a sorbet.
So, I was going to make the argument that, y'all were kind of selling the same stuff as everyone else, and not like in a derogatory way, but like that's where we feel like brand really helps elevate other things. But you're saying
Yeah.
there's really a lot more to your food and recipe than your competitors are.
Yeah, I think I take a lot of pride in our recipes and the process that we make. I always say we don't make any shortcuts. I've seen a lot of brands over the last 21 years come and go that have tried to do the same thing. And I think it's a combination of you have to have an awesome product, but it doesn't stop there. Like you have to have an awesome brand and an awesome culture as well. Like running and growing a business for 2 decades, like, you have to do a lot of things right. You can't just do one of the things right, right? And I think some people fall short because they have an awesome product, but their culture sucks. Their brand sucks. Their training sucks. Like their engagement with their community is not on point. So you kind of have to do all of those things right to have a business that is going to grow and thrive, right?
You were saying something interesting about like the entrepreneurial journey versus working a 9 to 5. And like the passion is the big upside and the big downside is that, right? Someone said something interesting to me once. They said, you don't have to be lucky in business to do well. You just can't get unlucky. Right. And it was a
Yeah.
really interesting way to frame it, I thought.
I mean, I've been unlucky plenty of times.
Campus Fresh, like Campus Fresh.
I think just in general in business, like you wake up every day and something happens that you weren't expecting, right? And I think I always tell
Like
people
COVID.
like COVID's a big one, that there's things like that. You just don't know. Every day there's something different. But that's one of the things that's exciting about it too. But I think the key to kind of long-term success is knowing how to identify problems, solve problems, pivot. Some people just don't make the proper decisions to change at the right moments, or they don't recognize the problems at the right moments to recognize that they have to make a change or pivot
Yeah, or
or
they just get
adapt.
paralyzed, right? Sometimes making the wrong decision can still work out because it won't work and you'll make another one. It's
Yeah.
it's when you really don't do anything that you're like, fuck.
Yeah. You got to stay on it all. Like to this day, like I don't have it all figured out. And the moment you think you have it all figured out is the moment your business starts going down. So you got to be on top of it every day, especially with my industry. Like my menu today is way different than it was 5, 10 years ago. Like I've always said I've been in the trend business for 20 years, but our whole thing is like, if whatever it is that people are looking for that is better for you and that blends, like that's where we want to be. Right.
Well,
And that's always changing, new superfoods and things like
I was
that.
gonna say, let's
Yeah.
talk about that. Where do you find new things from? Like, what are your inspiration sources? Or is
I
that, is
mean,
that a trade secret?
I'm very in tune. No, I'm just very in tune with the industry, with
Yeah.
other brands, other concepts out there, what's happening, what's exciting. We tried a lot of things that don't work and a lot of things that work. I also like every time I travel with my family, I'm dragging them around to every juice bar wherever we're visiting to just see what else is going on out there. Just kind of staying on top of what other people are trying, what's new, what's exciting. Still draw a lot of inspiration from the West Coast.
I have a
They
question.
seem to be trendsetters in our space. So yeah,
What's
go
the
ahead.
next what's the next kale?
What's the next scale?
Yeah, people put kale in everything because it's healthy and they use it because it blends and
Yeah,
all that stuff, and you had the
yeah,
ICE, you started with that. That was I guess we're on the front
yeah,
lines of that.
yep,
So what's next?
yeah. No, we really leaned into kale. Like we were the first to put like
Everybody
kale and spinach into smoothies back in like 2011. Uh, and so we had this whole like kale, yeah, campaign going. But now what it is collagen's very popular.
Right.
We're about to lean into creatine. Protein is very hot. Protein has always been kind of popular in smoothies, but I think there's a resurgent in protein. It used to be just kind of like the in the gym, like the muscle bound dudes looking for protein. Now it's female, it's elderly. Everyone's trying to get more protein in their
Yeah,
diet.
especially for the over 40. Like, it's
Yep.
the importance of it's really becoming popular now.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
arguably though, the creatine I think might even be more important. I don't know, but that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, we're gonna launch. We actually, you guys are the first to know. We're gonna launch some creatine smoothie products going into 2026. So we're gonna lean into some more like post workout protein creatine items. But also, what I'm seeing that's really hot right now with Gen Z is really leaning into uh, aesthetically pleasing food. So now smoothies not only have to like be good for you and taste good, they have to look good too.
Like,
Okay, so I
what's
always
your equip?
to look good. So what's the difference now?
So like we're putting things like coconut whip in the smoothie. So we just launched our winter menu with a vegan dark chocolate drizzle. So you're kind of like drizzling, you're kind of layering the smoothie with like vegan cocoa whip and dark chocolate drizzle and pistachio butter. So things that are like drizzled around the cup and layered in the cup to kind of give it.
It almost looks more like an attractive coffee drink.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's functional. You know, we're putting collagen in there, we're putting plant protein, all good ingredients, almond milk, spinach, um, so it's still good for you, but Gen Z really likes to eat with their eyes too. So really leaning into things that look fun and creative as well.
Stuff that's Instagrammable.
Instagrammable, TikTokable, if that's a
I think
word.
you hit on it, B. I think that's what it is.
So, I love hearing all these stories about how people got started. And one thing I really love about South Block is you guys take the brand all the way, right? So we always tell people it's a lot more than your logo. Like, you put me in a South Block store and cover the logo, I'm still going to know I'm in a South Block store. And the way employees treat you is the same. And like, we think it trickles into like everything from customer experience to, the fonts you use to the way the store's organized, right? So how long did it, like, give us the process of how that evolved, really
Yeah.
starting from like the name and logo. Did you design it yourself if you're a graphic designer?
Yeah. All the branding myself.
Did you?
So yeah, I did. I mean, it's fun like doing before this when I worked for the consulting firm, it was all like government contract proposals that I was putting together. Really boring
I used to
stuff.
work in GovCon too. I did.
But now I get to do fun smoothie stuff. So yeah, did all the branding myself, and the name from like I said, the lessons I learned at GW and at my parents' video store was the importance to connection to your community in business. And at GW, I really got involved with student life. We did a lot of fundraisers for student organizations. Really got involved, and so when I went to open my location in Clarendon, I couldn't call it Campus Fresh. So I went to sign the lease, and I didn't have a name. I was playing around with these names that were very generic, like Arlington Smoothie, Clarendon Juice, things like that. But at the end of the day, I wanted the business to be more about our mission and our culture than the product. And the space that I was considering to take was on the backside of this building in Clarendon. They were building 2 new towers. And the only space left was this one little space, 700 square feet on the back of the building that had no foot traffic on that side. And it was on the south block of the building. So I thought South Block is a cool name, but not only is it a cool name, like my mission is going to be to build community around this block, around this South Block, through having an awesome product, getting involved with the community, and building traffic on that block through word of mouth, because you want to tell your friends about your experience at South Block. So that's what we did. We opened in that 700 square foot spot, huge column down the middle. It never should have worked, but we've been there since 2011 now, and that part of the block, that part of the community has really blossomed since we've been there. And we started noticing a lot of fitness open around us. And now there's a lot more community on that side of the block. So our whole mission every time we open a new South Block is to do just that, is to help do our part to make that community a little bit more awesome than before we became part of that community, through doing the same things. Like nothing's really changed. It's like awesome product, being involved with the community. I started a nonprofit in 2019 called Fruitful Planet. My mom passed away in 2019, and it's one of those moments where you really start thinking about purpose of life. And so for me, it was like, I started really thinking about this word fruitful versus the word successful. And when you experience something like your mother passing, like you really start thinking about purpose of life. And I started thinking about, at the end of my life, I really want to make sure that I'm a fruitful person, not a successful person. Right. And so what can we do through South Block to magnify that message and do more through our mission to give back to the community? So I started a nonprofit called Fruitful Planet. And so now every time you purchase something at South Block, a portion of that purchase goes directly to Fruitful Planet. And 100% of those proceeds are used to get fruits and vegetables back to people in need throughout our communities that we're a part of. Because our mission is to help make people feel awesome. And I want to make sure that we're supporting everyone in our community, not just people that can afford to eat at South Block, they can afford to eat fruits and vegetables. So, I think that's an important part of building a brand.
Is that one of your core values? You said something, one of your missions is to make people feel awesome, and I love that.
That's like,
Yeah.
that's their purpose on their website.
Okay.
that
Yeah.
is our mission to help make people feel
Of
awesome.
course.
One of our core values is small acts can make big impacts. That's kind of the idea behind Fruitful Planet is every purchase that people make, small part of that goes to Fruitful Planet. And so far we've donated over 85,000 pounds of fruits and vegetables to people in need throughout the community through food, through school programs, through food banks, through homeless shelters. Because I think back to my life. Like I said, my dad was an immigrant, and there was a point in our lives where my parents had 4 kids, and because of the war in Iran, my dad had lost all of his funding for his PhD, and he was at this time in Ohio. And so here my parents are with 4 young kids in Ohio with no funding for his school that got taken away. And he was getting his funding through Kerman University in Iran. So when the revolution broke out, his funding went away. So, here I saw my parents with 4 young kids having to start with nothing. And so we had to rely on things like uh, food stamps and programs that helped us still get things like fruits and vegetables. To my dad, having fruit, he never went to the grocery store except to buy fruit, and he would bring home fruit and we just sit on the floor and eat it. And even during those tough times, it was important to him that we still had healthy things to eat. But then I saw him like still get his PhD and work his way through that. So I think that was a lesson in, like, no matter what life throws at you, like, there's still a way to figure out a way to get through that and to push through and to get through to the other side, as long as you don't give up and you make sacrifices and you just make it happen. So anyway, having lived through that, I think was also like a reminder that, hey, sometimes people need support. And I wanted to make sure we through our business, we could create a community event, a community process where everyone through small acts could help support other people in our community who needed that support.
No, that's beautiful, man. It's I love hearing the purpose being woven in and how it happened. And we always say it's like got to be authentic, and this is such a genuine way that it came about. And I love the use of fruitful because it really is bounty, right? Like it's really providing for everyone, not just a person.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think, like I said, I think it's, for me, it's like way more important than being a successful person. Like, you can be a fruitful person,
Did
right?
you?
Be just giving of yourself, giving of your business.
I know a lot of this stuff is like keeps evolving, but like how early on was like, let's say the purpose, right? To make people
Mhm.
feel awesome, locked in.
Yeah, no, that's a great question because, like, look, when I first started my business, it was very much like I started my business the year I got married. I quit my job really the same month that I got married. And so, um, my focus was like, I got to pay.
I swear to God, I'm kidding. But is your wife a doctor?
No, she's a school counselor,
Oh, wow.
Ooh,
Oh,
elementary
couldn't
lovely.
have
school
guessed that
counselor.
one.
We had to live off
Also purpose
school
based.
counselor salary. Yeah. Um, so yeah, so my purpose at that time was to pay my bills, to create a business that I could live off of. And so it wasn't really in my mind when I started it to have this mission and this culture. It was like, let's figure out an awesome product. Let's figure out how to make money with it. But then as we started to grow, when I opened South Block, like I said, I started thinking about the things we did at GW and the importance of community and the things we did with our local video store growing up. To compete with Blockbuster, we had to be very involved with the community. So I think it kind of sparked when I started South Block, but even there, it wasn't fully formalized. I started South Block. We started seeing success with South Block it wasn't until about 2 years after I started. The first 2 years were kind of tough. The sales weren't there right away. It took 2 years of really building brand and building community around the business and getting the word out there. But then once it took off, it really took off. And I had all these opportunities to open these stores, and they happened very quickly. So I went from two, 3 locations to 7 in 12 months. So I more than doubled in a year, from 2015 to 2016. At that time, I was just rolling with these opportunities because the brand was hot and people wanted us in their spaces. And I had these opportunities to open spaces that didn't cost me a lot of money.
Yeah, that's the
So
best
we
way to
went
do it.
with it, and we were just hiring people to fill shifts, right? Because we needed people. And so after we opened store 7, I stepped back, and this is one of these moments where you have to
A 7-year itch
pause.
type situation.
Well, it was like a moment where you have to pause and realize you have to adapt. You have to pivot. And I wasn't happy with where our culture was after we opened store 7, because I think we were just too focused on opening stores and hiring people. And I didn't establish the right training for the team. I didn't establish the right mission, the culture. I didn't communicate that properly. So I said, I wanted it more than anything. I wanted to have a business that my friends and family could be proud of. And so I paused and I said, I started really getting obsessed with books about culture and leadership development. So I said,
Name one that was
uh,
a, like, I hate the word game changer for you.
yeah, I mean, some of the early ones for me was like the Energy Bus, and don't ask me I'm forgetting the author right now, but the Energy Bus was a big one. Blue Ocean Strategy, 5 levels of leadership. So I started like getting obsessed with this idea of like, look, we can be more than a smoothie shop. We can be, and what I always tell my team now is like, we're a leadership development business disguised as a smoothie shop. So I started really focusing on culture, mission, people development, career opportunities through our business. Like, yeah, smoothie shop, you can build a career here. We can teach you leadership skills, even if you're not going to stay here forever, right? You can get something out of your experience here. So I worked on all that and it started with me really understanding that and getting excited about that. But then it started with building my team with people who felt the same way. So I started like recruiting people, and the people I started hiring were the people that I would spend an hour talking about our passion around people and culture and leadership development. And I didn't care what was on their resume. All I cared about is like how excited we were to talk about this idea of creating this company around people and culture. And so I hired those people that shared that same vision and passion. And those people are still with me. I have people who have been with me for 17 years, a lot of them 10 years. So surrounded myself with people who really cared about that. And a lot of those people have been at toxic cultures, and which in my opinion is even more beneficial if people have seen that,
Mhm.
because they want to do everything they can to protect a positive culture and never go back to that. So that's what I did. I built my team with people that believed in that, and then here we are today, still working on culture because it's never fully resolved. I think I always tell people that culture is something that you will never have 100% perfect for your company, but you can focus on it 100% of the time.
Well, and I'm sure you have, but have you seen the Simon Sinek Start With Why video?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's like our purpose branding, kind of like North Star, if you will. And everything else kind of evolves, right? But as long as you have the purpose, like yours is to make people feel awesome, right? Like as long as you have the purpose that you can focus on, everything else like mission, vision, market trends, leadership, it's all variable, right? But as long as you're keeping your eye on the prize, I feel like everything falls in line.
Yep. Yeah,
And I
everything
know
has to
we're
go back to mission. Yep.
Well, and we're all talking about, how much goes into what a brand is, like your culture and everything like that. And we're focused a lot on culture, and I see that you do that, and that's worked out great for you. Something that I always say is that your best marketing is running a good business, which really it's the culture aspect too, but it's also how you treat your your vendors, how you treat your clients, how you treat and everything that has to do with how you run your business goes into your brand and goes into your marketing because
Yeah.
it shows on the
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah. And I think it starts with your team. I always tell my whole thing is like, if you treat your team well, give them the right tools, the right resource, the right training, that'll reflect in the guest experience, the vendors you deal with. Like they're your front line, right? But if you're not treating your team right, how can you expect them to treat your guests right?
So I'm gonna go one
So,
step
yeah.
back. It starts with the leadership. So the leadership has to hire the right team and treat the team the right way and show
Yep.
and set the example and be
Yeah.
the example. So I completely agree with you, but I think it goes back one level.
Oh yeah, I mean, it starts with me,
Yep.
right? And trickles down to all the
She was
leadership,
talking to
right?
me, Amir.
You caught that? You caught that one? Okay.
Yeah.
I am curious. Have you found that challenging to maintain as you've grown? Because like 21's a lot of locations and a lot. How many employees do you have total now?
It's about 350 total.
Yeah, like how has that been challenging to like keep going as you scale?
I won't say it's been challenging per se up till now, but it is definitely top of mind as we're scaling, especially as we're about to open in a new market outside of the DMV. We're going to Charlotte, North Carolina. It is one of our top focuses. One of the top things on my mind of how do we keep that? Because, yeah, you have to start building culture into your systems for it to maintain at scale, right? So that's where we're at today is how do we do that? How do we do that successfully? And I think from where I sit, it's like making sure that that's always still a top priority in everything that we do. So that is probably our biggest challenge in scale today. Because you always see these brands, right? Like, first of all, when I went out for private equity, my top priority was finding a private equity partner that I felt like aligned with our mission, with our culture, that believed in what we were doing, that believed in my vision of how to build a healthy business, a positive business. So I did. I went out and found that through Savory Fund. Because if you have the wrong private equity partner, that could really kind of screw things up too. And then I think if you scale too fast and you scale beyond your ability to maintain culture, that's what starts to hurt your
So
brand as
question
well.
about that. You had an inflection point. You had the tension at number 7. What was is this now the next one, or was there a store number in between that you realized you had additional challenges? Because you're scaling very well, it appears. So just lesson.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think for really from store 8 until today, the focus has not drifted. I think we've been very strong and consistent in wanting to be who we are around people and culture. And I think it's still like that today. So I don't think there's been like a moment where it's like, oh, crap. I mean, I will say like COVID, right? Kind of what it did for us is like in a good way, it showed that we were who we said we are. Because I think COVID really exposed a lot of businesses who were kind of putting up this front of a fake culture. But for us, we were able to prove to our team and our community that we stand by who we say we are. It's not just words, right? So we were able to show up for our employees, show up for our community. So even though it cost us money, it was, in my opinion, worth the investment to earn that trust. Earning trust is such a valuable thing to do when you can do that. But coming on the other side of COVID, though, it changed kind of the landscape of business to much more digital than pre-COVID, where it was much more human interaction. So one of our biggest challenges today is how do we maintain that connection with our guests coming into our stores when there's so like 70% of our transactions are digital now, 70%. So you have to figure out how to still give people that human interaction. And so that's kind of where our focus is today is like, even though 70% of our guests are ordering digitally, let's make sure we're still focusing on human interaction with people. And I think that's just industry's biggest challenge today.
No, that makes sense. If it makes you feel any better, I feel like your people are great at like, even if I'm just scooping something up, like coming and check on me if I'm sitting there or like, grabbing something to clean it up and throwing it away, ask me if I need something. So I feel like they're doing a really good job with that, actually.
Well, that's good to hear. That's
Yeah.
good to hear.
Um, all right. I'll give you 3 rapid fires and
Oh,
we'll
geez.
let you
Okay.
go. They're easy, probably. What is one thing you think every founder should stop doing?
Stop doing. I think you should stop micromanaging every detail. I think that was something that's still hard for me. You want to micromanage everything, but I think the moment you realize that you have to empower other people, it's freeing. And so when you're in a micromanage mindset, it's stressful. So empower other people to help you and bring them into your journey. So entrepreneurship can be a very lonely thing. So I've found empower your people, bring them into your journey, bring your team into your dream is what I say. Not just by not just by
That's a good
asking
line.
them to do it, but to do things like profit sharing, which was something I do. Like when we sold our private equity deal, my whole leadership team, they all got a paycheck. They all got a check from that transaction. So it wasn't just me celebrating that deal. It was the whole team. We're all in it together, right? So that's how you create everyone having an ownership mentality, right? Giving them flexible PTO. So these are things you should do now, right? But you do that by empowering your team to be leaders and owners of the business.
And then what is the best decision you've made accidentally?
Man, probably, I don't know if it was an accident, but I guess it was probably uh, putting acai on my menu. I
Well,
mean,
so you mentioned it wasn't selling for a while. Like you were only doing a couple a day. Was there ever a moment where you were like, fuck it, this isn't going to take in?
He also said the first 2 years were really hard.
Well,
So I don't
the LA
I
market's
started.
very different than East Coast, right? Like an Erewhon, I don't think would ever work here.
Yeah.
You know?
So I with acai, remember I started selling in 2005.
Oh, okay.
And I don't been clearing it to 2011. So I think
Yeah.
I stuck with it because I loved it. But when I opened Clarendon, the decision I made was to make half the menu acai because I just wanted to really own that and introduce it to our community. No one was doing acai even in 2011. I think that surfer dude coming in my shop and making me acai, I don't know if it's an accident or not, but that was one of those things where it's like kind of a game changer for my business from where we're at today.
Well, and I think a hidden lesson there is you never know where the good idea is going to come from.
Never know. I wasn't expecting it that day, and there it goes.
Do you know that a Starbucks story? The guy Howard Schultz worked for a guy that owned a coffee roaster and gave him the idea and kept trying to get him to do it, and the guy's like, "No, that's stupid," and he left and started it on his own.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. You just have to have your head on a swivel all the time, right?
Yeah. And then, what is one either branding or marketing myth that you hate?
I mean, I think just in general, I think people lean too much into data around marketing. When I think marketing
now
is.
You're speaking my language, Amir.
You should
I really.
tell him the title.
I'm like Johnny Vibes over here.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, so I think just data can really screw up. Like I think grassroots marketing. I think marketing is as much like art as science. Probably more art than science. So I think when you let data really drive decisions around marketing, you start losing sight of like what's really happening in front of your eyes. Like get your head out of your computer and see what's happening in real life in front of you and get out there with your community. That's how you really make a difference in marketing.
Amanda, I don't know what you're hearing, but I'm hearing we need to throw a party.
I love throwing a party.
Let's throw a block party. How about that?
Yeah,
I'm
block. Oh
down.
my God, let's do it. Yeah, no, I agree with that with the data. It's just like, it's one data point. It's not useless. It's very useful, but it's something to consider among a lot of
Right.
other things to also consider.
Yeah. Data is definitely has its
Place.
its importance and place. Yeah, but it can't rely 100% on it. You gotta
Agree.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on, man. We will put links to find Amir, find South Block, and even the books that we mentioned somewhere in the description for you to find it. And go check out your local South Block. And if you're in Charlotte, there's one coming soon. When's it coming?
Early 26.
Early 26.
Yeah, we'll have two locations there, one at the Bowl in Ballantyne and one in Commonwealth in Plaza Midwood. And we're still expanding in the DMV. We got a bunch of sites coming here as well. We got Gainesville. We just opened Reston. We got Idlewood coming. We got Stonebridge and Woodbridge. We got Tinleytown. So follow us on Instagram at South Block. We got a lot of new DMV sites coming as well.
Awesome, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. It was fun.